All right, we're back, and we're going to be talking about following people. Okay, so basically on follow, this is really, it looks kind of confusing, but it's not. It's really self-explanatory, but here I'm going to go through it for you. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do, if you're going to want to follow people, you're going to want to enable it. Okay, so once you enable it, you enable it there. But you're going to want to make sure that your queries match basically everything you have on your board. So if I have my Pinterest page, all my boards are on let's say shoes, then I don't want to have queries in here that say funny stuff or Chinese recipes or gardening or landscaping, any of that, because it has nothing to do with shoes. Okay, so you want to make sure that these queries that you have in here match your boards. That way when you follow people, you're following people that are going to follow your boards as well. If they, if they wonder who's following them. And normally they do. Most people that get a follow will try to go back and see who's following them, and then they'll follow in return normally. And that's what we're hoping for, but you have to make things interesting. And in order to do that, you want to make sure that when they come to your boards, they see a board that is like their board. So you want to make sure that your queries are the same. So that's important. So get those queries in there the same. And what I normally do is I just copy my boards, the names of my boards, and I put them in there. And that's pretty much it. And once you do that, you can query on everything that you have on that account, going back to, everything is you're following people that are, like and kind to yourself. In other words, they're doing pretty much the same thing that you're doing. And then that way that you can build up your accounts really, really super fast. And it's important to have different items, for your boards. Your boards are going to, all be this. Nobody's board's going to be the same, but you want to be able to have enough in here that your bot can just feed off of this for forever, basically finding people to come back and follow. So enable it, set your timeouts, stagger those if you need to, follow how many you want to follow. Do you want to follow users? Do you want to follow boards? I find following users is much better for me, because typically users will come back and follow you. If I follow boards, not necessarily will anybody come back and follow me. Now, there's people out there that say that that boards is better because more people will probably come back and follow you rather than just the user itself. So you might want to play with that and kind of see what you want to do there. I typically will follow users. I might stagger it up a little bit just to keep it, so it's not stagnant, or it's not the same. But I tend to follow users is what I tend to do. And then you can set this thing on autopilot if you want to. And then the criteria. The user criteria is actually quite simple, okay, because it says, it actually tells you what it's for. So the user criteria is, who do I actually want to follow? Do I just want to follow anybody? Or do I want to follow people that fall between a certain criteria? Okay, so followers, all right. Do I want to follow a follower who has only between 0 and 10 followers? No, I probably want to follow somebody that's got, quite a few, like maybe between 100, and because in that it kind of tells you how active these people are that you're following, because you'll end up out there following people that aren't even posting on Pinterest, that aren't even looking at anything on Pinterest. And when you do that, what happens is you just wasted a follow, and because those follows, they add up, and so people, when they come to your page, they're looking at how many people you're following and how many people are following you. So you don't want to have, you're following like 2 million people and only 500 are following you. So, because it kind of looks weird, so you just don't want that. All right. So you want to, check the people out there that you're actually just kind of, go out, do a little test and look at people and kind of see what I'm talking about. There's people out there that aren't very active on Pinterest, and there's people that are very active. So you want people that are active. So you want a higher number here if you can. The same with, following. Do you want somebody that's following 10 million, or do you want somebody that's following between a certain number? So you can post that on there too. How many boards do they have? If they have like 1 or 2 boards, they're probably not a real active member. If they have 30 to 50 or 50 to 100 boards, then yeah, I want to follow that person. That person's very, very active, and that person, more likely than not, I'm going to get a lot of people coming to my site from there, because that's the person to follow. They're active, they're pushing, they're looking at pins all the time. They see yours, they repost them, they repin them. So there you go. Now another one is, how many pins do they have? You don't want people that only have like a few pins, because then it means they're not active. You want active people, so the more number of pins, the better. Now that's user criteria. Now let's look at board criteria. If you're following boards, then you want to set up your boards, or set up the type of board you want to follow. How many followers are on the board? How many pins are on the board? So you want to make sure that you get something in between there. You don't want it to be, you don't want to post. Now, that's a good question. I just, asked myself a question while I was talking. So, do you want to post your stuff on a new board, on somebody's new board? The problem with that is that somebody that has a new board typically is not pinning yet, which means that your stuff is going to sit there and there's not really much activity there because it's brand new. Or do you want to post to a board that that there's hundreds of thousands of followers? The same with pins. Something that's got a lot of pins. I tend to fall somewhere like in the middle somewhere, so I'll set that up. If I'm going to use the board section, then I may set the criteria to something like between 100 or more followers, and the pins, at least 300 or more pins, because I want something that's active. I don't want something that's stagnant or not being used, or somebody's account that's just out there, and I'll have to end up unfollowing him someday. But that probably would be in our next video. But anyway. And then at the same time, you don't have to use any of these at all if you don't want to. Let's just say that you just want some people to follow you, or you want some people to follow. Then don't even use these, because in the beginning it probably won't matter. But if you get a board or a Pinterest board or a Pinterest account that has a number of boards that are refined, and you have those like fine-tuned with excellent pictures, excellent, the graphics are just tremendous, and you get a lot of people repinning your pins, and you have multiple accounts, and you're drawing a lot of information from those accounts onto that particular account, and you just want it set up a certain way, then hey, you're going to want to fine-tune this so you get the people that you want. You don't want just anybody. So anyway, with that, I'll leave that. And anytime if you guys have any questions, you can just leave a comment below and we can get it all sorted out. But that's the follow feature, and the next time we'll be talking about unfollow. I'll see you then.